Hello, everybody, if that's out there. Hello from Constantine. We're getting our first real snow here where I'm at, over in the U.S. Very nasty line of storms just went through the middle of the country. So, welcome, Constantine. I hope I said that right. I'm not even going to try your last name. I know I'll mess it up. Anyway, I'm going to wait a minute or two to see if anyone else shows up. I'm going to be doing Unconditional Surrender here on the Board Game Arena version. BoardGameArena.com is the place to go look up Board Game Arena. There's several hundred games out there of different types. Very few war games, but there are some coming now. And I'm going to go ahead and do the setup while I'm waiting for other people to show up. So in order to set up a solo game, you have to click on, within the game, at least for this one, you hit create. And I will stay in training mode, and I will change the scenario to the main event scenario. I am in the instance to try and keep the discussions about what's the best way to set up units or whatever. I am going to go ahead and just use the historical setup. I will allow myself to declare war either east or west, so we'll have that little discussion. And then the way you set up a solo game is you say just one player, like I've done here. And then you go ahead and what's this message? Oh, it's just telling me what I did. I'm sending messages to myself. Okay, so you set yourself to one player and say, in order to start it, you actually have to open the table to other players. And yes, you're playing a game. And then you just go ahead and start the game. And then go to game. And here we go. We're loading up. Looks like I've got 2 viewers out there according to the thing. I don't know who the other person is. But welcome, whoever you are. Again, this is Unconditional Surrender. We are getting ready to go into the main event. I seem to be running a little behind here on my stream. So I'm going to see if I can do something about the lag. Hang on just a second, folks, while I try to find my mouse again. Where the heck? Oh, I have to. There we go. Trying to figure out why I seem to be a bit behind here on my lag. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Well, anyway, we will try to go forward. I don't know if my sound is keeping up with the images. The images seem to be a little bit slow coming through. Welcome, Thomas, from Sweden. At least I got 2 people watching me. I'm a very much... there's something to be said about doing the East First variant of declaration of war. I am not convinced that it's better than West First. I'm going to do a West First because that's the game most people are usually familiar with, and I'm just going to kind of run through things that I normally do for all the sides. We'll see how far I get in the next couple hours, maybe. So I'm going to declare war on the Western faction. And then I get to declare war on miners. I'm going to declare war on Poland. And to save, I mean, there's a whole theory thing about what's the best way to set up Poland. I'm going to be lazy. I'm just going to use historical setup. I force all the other powers to be in a historical setup. I'll use that for the Poles too. And then I'm not going to declare war on anything else this turn because I'm not in position to do anything. Now the British could transfer points to either France or Poland. At this point, there's really no reason. So I'm just going to skip that as the West. When you get closer to being at war with Germany, when Germany looks like it's going to be invading the West, you might be giving a point to France to make sure they have enough points to do everything they need to do to defend themselves. So now the Germans can do a strategic move. This is what I do. It's not necessarily what you need to do. But I usually take the 1st Infantry and I put it here on the border with Denmark. Yes, Constantine. When you use free setup, it's not unknown for Germans. Free setup is, see where the 1st is right now that I just strategically moved up to Denmark. Very often they will start with the 1st there, one of the German infantry in the West. They'll start with it on the border with Denmark, and they'll also have an airplane sitting in that same hex. And then what that does is, I don't know about declaring war on Hungary on the 1st turn. Usually you're pretty busy with Poland, but yeah, you could. I haven't seen it set up that you would do that. Unless you're like not declaring war on Poland, like if you're going to try to get them as a minor on your side, then, yeah, you could set up to take out Denmark and Hungary, and those would be the guys you declare war on in September of 39 and leave Poland till, trying to get it as a minor ally or something like that. That's perfectly doable in the open setup. Okay, so that's my German strategic move. As the West, I tend to do this. It's just me. But I tend to take the mobile unit and I put it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I usually put it somewhere around here. That's more of a long-term thing. If the Germans really wanted, they didn't declare war on Belgium, so they can't come running across here in a surprise. And then I will put someone else into Lille. This is an expensive unit to rebuild, costing 2 production points. So I tend to try to keep it as my reserve. I don't want it going down on the first attack. And the Soviets, there's really not a lot to do with strategic moves, so I'm just going to skip them. So now we're going to go into the German. I'm waiting for my recordings to catch up. Are you guys keeping up with my video? You should be looking at Poland right now. The replay thing I'm showing shows me to be a little bit behind here. I'm trying to make sure that you're up with what I'm talking about as far as video goes. And can you hear me okay? We've got another error. All right. So we're going to get ready. We're going to go ahead and do the invasion of Poland. There's multiple ways of doing this. The only wrong way to do this is to like just attack with assaults, because you'll have a very limited number of combats and you won't get very far. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do it the way I'm used to doing it. I don't know if it's the right way to do it, but we go in here, get 2 will points off the, see the poles, lost 2 will points. We're going to attack this pole here, maybe. Okay. And the Germans, of course, are going to throw in their airplane. So they'll be +5. And then this is a... Oh, I know what I messed up. Okay. I actually have a trick with the West that I do a lot of times. Rather than moving that Frenchman, I will move this pole down here, the Carpati garrison. A lot of times I will rail him up to like right behind Posen, so that it's hard to isolate Posen. But I didn't do that this game. So I'm going to go ahead and spend my first ground support here. It's probably the best odds I'm going to have all game of maybe making him make a second attack. And then we commit. And he retreated me, but at least, you know, with that number, he had an 11. Germans had an 11. Right. So. And this is, again, this is like, how do you want to do this? I tend to go here. And then as the Germans, now you gotta, you have to think a little bit. If you say don't take this hex, but go over here so you get a better attack, then the next time he retreats, he's going to retreat to this side of the river over here. And then you won't be able to attack him again. So I just go ahead and go here and go ahead and do the attack again, using the same airplane. And at this point, I'm going to save the last ground support for one of these units closer to Warsaw, because I think that's going to be the crucial time when I have to use it. So we're not going to commit this turn with the West. And again, he did not get high enough to do anything other than retreat me. The advantage here is that this, for the Germans, is they get one more attack on this guy. So they're going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to use an airplane from the south. Oh dear. Actually, at this point, I'm not going to use an airplane because, well, it'd be +6. I'm going to go ahead and use an airplane. I'm trying to get him DD'd so that he'll be removable, so to speak. Oh, and I got very lucky. I got a DE. So that hurts immensely for the Poles. Now, I'm always of 2 minds about this, on whether I want to do this or not, but I think in this case, because I eliminated him, I will take the hex. Many times I won't take that hex if the guy is just DD'd, because I need to get another unit in there to keep going. And I don't know who my... Well, I had someone jump in and jump out. Boom, boom. Where are we? Oh. Okay, onwards and upwards. The next... I think the next attack is going to go ahead and go from here. We're going to attack here. We should have him isolated, which we do. So we're already at +3. I'm going to use another airplane. That makes it +5. Now you could use your ground support here to try and make him take an extra turn to take that thing. But again, like I said, I think the ground supports are going to be more important when I'm defending either Krakow or around Warsaw. So I'm going to save it for a bit. So +5 to 0. And that's bad for the Poles, because it didn't take him 2 turns to take me. So now I'm going to go ahead and take move into this city, and then I'm going to attack this pole. You'll notice I'm using my airplanes prolifically. That's because there's not really an air threat in the east, So you might as well use them up. You can rebuild them over time. And you have a better chance of getting extreme results if you have like +4s and +5s. In this case, I just retreated him. Okay, now this is a kind of a lesson, so to speak. You want to make sure that you don't give him easy access to Warsaw, like with an attack and get a no enemy zone of control and just move into Warsaw. So, boy, this is a tough one. What do you guys think? Straight back? I've got 2 voters. I can go to here, here, or here. I think I want to go here. Because that way, if I get a retreat, I retreat into Warsaw. So that's where I'm going to go. What do you guys think? All right. Actually, I'm not sure I want to be in that space, am I? If I stay where I'm at, then I can 1, 2, 3 with the armor. 1, 2, 3 with the armor. Either way, he's going to retreat into Warsaw. What the heck? We'll take the hex. Okay, so that's that. Now this guy down here should also be isolated. This is why it's bad for the Poles. They're down to 4 willpower. They're about to lose another infantry unit here. There's no reason to use using it here doesn't make a lot of sense. The Germans are going to go ahead and use their aircraft. They managed to roll a 1 and 1 to a 6, so then they have to attack again. Use their aircraft again. And away we go. Commit. And finally we got him. So that's a 4. Now, I don't want to go into this hex because that's where I want my armor to go to attack this guy and try and get into Warsaw. So I think I'm just going to advance here. And just stop. Now I'm going to try a trick first to see if this works. Not very likely. I need an extreme die roll, but I prefer to be on the rail line here. Or do I want to do that? Maybe I want to save that for later in case I really need it. So let's undo that. That's the nice thing about this. It does have a multiple level undo in the latest module. So you can undo a couple of moves like that. What you cannot undo is once you've gotten into a combat, whenever you see these like little red hexes like here. I come up to here and I say I'm going to attack. Once you resolve that, once you resolve this attack, you can't take it back. Like, oh, I rolled a 1, I don't want to do that. You have to live with it. So there is that. So we will use the airplane, and I think now is the time to try and use my ground support to try and hang on for a little bit. So confirm and commit. And he got a great, because of his +6, rolling a 1 is what killed me. Because even with a 2, we got an 8. So defender disrupted. I will move into here, and I can attack him again. This time I'm only +2 because it's -1 for the river, -1 for the city, but I will throw in an airplane. He has nothing to throw in. So I will be +4 to his -2. I get a retreat. It really doesn't matter where I retreat to because when I take Warsaw, Poland is conquered. Okay. So it's fairly straightforward exercise. It takes some extreme die rolls against the Germans to keep them from being able to take out Poland one way or another. So yeah, that's just the way it is. Now you can put down pro marker because the Russians are going to get Eastern Poland over here. you no longer will be adjacent to Romania, so you won't be able to put a pro marker in there. So I tend to put my pro marker here right away, just because, for me, that seems like the best place to go. And then he'll leave out of there. Now, I have an infantry unit here that I didn't use. Way back here. Who's that? The 4th? So he's going to run all the way back over to Denmark. Just barely reaches. One of the reasons why I didn't use him right away. Now I got to leave 3 infantry over here. So I have these 2 that are used. I'm going to go ahead and put this guy in his permanent home, which is this swamp hex. That's just where he'll sit for garrison duty. Then I'm going to set myself up for the shenanigans in the west now, so I don't have to think about it later. So I will fly down here to the... There we go. Did it. And then might as well... Okay, I need to go take this city. I can take that city other times. So I think I will put myself here. And then I'm done for this turn for the Germans. There's a couple of other things to do. These are shenanigan things. If you're the French, you can take this airplane and you can move it here to Metz. And if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you can hit the convoy. So as the German with the convoy, I say that's okay. I don't need to escort it. I just move it over here to Stettin, where it can't annoy me. Because like on the turn that you think you're going to go into Norway, if the turn before that, the French decide that they're going to go and harass your convoy, there's nothing you can do about it. Once you take Denmark, you can move the convoy like to Aalborg with whatever infantry or armored units that's going to attack into Oslo, and it's not an issue. But yeah, it's just a matter of you don't want to have to deal with that. The other thing I do is I take this airplane and I put him on the border. He has to go into the border hex for home defense. And then I got to count 1, 2, let's see from here, 1, 2, 3. So they can start from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So unless they declare war on Belgium, they can't quite reach the guy in Dusseldorf, so I don't really need to move him. And then I also moved the 7th to here. Don't attack with him, but I know he's in open terrain or whatever, but he's supported by an airplane. And they would have to leave their forts. And there's a chance that they would get AS'd and be sitting outside their forts, which might tempt me to go ahead and do a west attack right away. So, truly aggressive Frenchmen that want to try to invade Germany, I kind of invite them to do it at this point because it will not go well for the French, at least in my opinion. All right, so the Germans are done. They go pass. They're not going to remove anything. This is a nice little feature. Skip the next voluntary elimination phase. If you know you're not going to remove anything, you can check on that little box and it will just bounce right along. Where are we at? Straight back, top. 2 different things. All right. So anyway, there's this lovely little feature that says skip next voluntary elimination phase in the box when you're ending your actions. It'll save you a step along the way. We're trying to get the developer of this module to add us a couple more of those buttons for different things, which you'll see as we come along. Okay. Now, one of the things you can do here is you can say supply all unlimited supply source with no convoys. If you do that, then your list will be very short as to who still needs to be done. In the case of the Germans, I don't have anybody overseas, so it's not a problem. You'll see it when I do the Brits here. Okay, here's the here's my trick with the Brits, and everybody laughs at me when I do this, but I'm like, I have seen the UK be collapsed way too many times. Home fleet goes here, and will stay there until absolutely needed elsewhere. Home guard moves here. Oh, moves here. There we go. Everybody says, why there? Right? Very important. If you're sitting in London, the Germans can actually land on this coastal hex over here, adjacent to London, attack in, and take London. And then that's their port, and you lose 4 will points and a factory. The home guard sits here. He can land on either one of these coastal hexes, but he's got to attack the home guard. He can't advance a hex in because he's in your zone of control. If you get another garrison unit, which you'll probably lose relatively soon, or once he does either West invaded or the Mediterranean crisis happens, and you can move the Gibraltar unit, you can have them come and sit in Southampton, and that means the Germans have to get all the way to Brest to be able to invade Plymouth, which you should see coming and be able to get somebody like the BEF back into Britain. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and just get my Brits set up. And they're just going to go and put themselves in Calais. And then the convoy is actually going to go sit back here out of airplane range. And then we're done with that. Now the French. And all I'm doing is I'm setting up sort of an in-depth defense of France. Some prefer to defend forward. I found this to be fairly effective against me as the Germans. So I wanted to try it out and see how well it works. Basically, the idea is these front 2 units may die, but it's going to take him at least a turn or 2. Because it's usually there's 1 turn to get the Low Countries, and then the next turn is when he actually takes all this. And the 2 hexes you're trying to defend are this fort hex over here and Calais, because those are the corners that drive German supply. This fort's fairly easy to keep. Just keep a guy in it. It's very hard to take. Calais, by having the British there, means the German Air Force not only has to deal with the French Air Force, it has to deal with the British. So hopefully you can just make his life miserable and slow him down. The whole name of the game here is to upset the German timetable if at all possible. I obviously did not do very much of that in Poland, but that's where we're going to go. Okay, so now we're going to do the pass. We're not going to eliminate anything, and then I'm going to show you what I was talking about. So now if I say supply all with no convoy, so I go here, and then it pops it up and says, oh, you got these 2 guys that have to be supplied through convoy. It will give you an automatic route if there's no way for the enemy to intercept you. If the enemy can intercept you, they will just show up with no route next to it or with a limited supply source on them, and you have to click on the unit to route. So I'm going to show you how to do that with the Western Desert Force. So I click on him, and it comes up with a little supply marker on top of the guy, and he happens to be on a convoy. So I can just go ahead and use that convoy, but I'm going to use the one in Suez for you. So I say, okay, go to Suez, and it shows you a route, a supply route to there. I tell it to use the convoy. Now it says, I have to do a naval path, so I have to go here, and then I'm going to go around the corner into Western Indian Ocean. I confirm that. You see the convoy makes a little run in there, and it comes right back to Suez. And now I'm supplied. Now the other thing you can do is if you like all the things, and it shows you how much plus of convoys will take for each supply run. If you like the way it looks, you can just say supply all, and then it will just run all those routes for you. It's a nice little shorthand. One of the nice things about it is it'll let you know who you have to supply where, which will make it you know, makes it a little bit easier on your brain, and then you can decide whether you really want to use the convoys it says, or if you want to do it manually to change it. Well, the Russians just got Eastern Poland, so we're going to go ahead and line ourselves up. There is a... I've played now in several, I think 3 games maybe? 3 or 4 games I've had as the Germans, where I've had the Soviets line up for a forward defense of Russia, and it hasn't gone well. So either my opponents are doing something wrong with their forward defense, or I'm getting extremely lucky or something. But it just seems like the forward defense costs the Russians like between 8 and 12 units, depending on the game, and the aggressiveness of the Germans. So I've taken to not doing a full-blown forward defense. I do line everybody up here to keep the Germans from trying to do too early of an attack into the east. I force a short game because I'm sitting back on, behind the Duna and the Dnieper or something, and they got nothing else better to do. So I do try to make it somewhat of a threat by what I just did here, but it's not really a threat if you think about it. And then I go ahead and move this airplane up here just for grins. And then that's it. And we are done. And again, we're going to skip this, confirm, and then we should be at full supply all. And everybody should be supplied. So now we're to replacements. The Germans have 16. Now they want to be able to decide on diplomacy, which means they can only spend 11. And obviously spending 11 isn't going to work real well. If you go and look at their card, they don't have anything to build, so that's okay. So we're just going to do the 3 airplanes, because why not? And now, like I discussed before, the French could have moved their airplane like into Metz and tried to mess with the German aircraft, but you're really not messing with them because they have enough production points to get it all back anyway. So it just doesn't make... I've tried it with the French. It just doesn't seem to make a dent. It just kind of annoys the Germans. But it doesn't really hurt them unless they leave like their convoy here. Because if the convoy had been sitting there, I would have gone and just bombed the convoy just because I know that he wants to keep in Diplomacy Cup. And that's like 3 points he can't really afford to mess with for a couple 3 turns. So it can set off his timetable. One of the reasons why is the Germans, I move it. Okay, so the Germans are done. We go into the west. That's one of the nice things about replacements is you can't forget what you have because they're all sitting right there in front of you. Now, the UK has the similar problem. They want to be able to stay in the Diplomacy Cup. The French are easy. They just take that. So what I'm going to do is I got to remember which one's where. So I scroll over here. This is the 4th convoy. I'm going to leave the 4th convoy out of this. I'm going to go ahead and do the 1st convoy and home fleet. And that's going to leave me and 3. So I can actually do this one too. And I still have 5 left, which is what I need to get into diplomacy. Okay, we'll confirm that the Soviets don't have a problem with production points at this point, and they do that. There's like a little card-based World War II game there, Thomas. Sorry, I missed that comment. You also have a, I believe it's Talon, Lona. The developer of this module, Lona LOL, is really the one who's developing the the war game type genre for BGA. BGA is mostly other types of board games. which is good because, I mean, there's lots of games that I wouldn't go and buy. I used to try out games in my game store who has a very good library, and I could try out games before I decided whether I wanted to buy them or not. But you couldn't really do that with war games. This was his first war game attempt, which was very ambitious, and it was very, very well done. I think he's doing one called Talon. I think there's another one in the works. There's a couple of card-based ones, Hill 219 or something like that. Oh, actually, I can show you, I think. Where is the... Okay, if I go here... If I return to main website... how do I get to it? Oh, play now. Battle for Hill 218 is one of the ones. It's a little card game type thing. It's card-based. Light war game is what I would call it. And then I have to go to all my tables. You'll see that I have several games going. And then let's get us back into our game. There's not a lot of them on BGA. We're trying to encourage developers. So if you know stuff, if you know how to write, that's the place to go. Look up their things. It's PHP and HTML and CSS are your main things. You have to know some SQL and database stuff too. Anyway, to move on, it's taking me a half an hour to get through this first turn, and I really wanted to get a little bit further along. So now there's a 1 in 13 chance that I will pull this political failure. And then a 1 in 4 chance that the West will get Italy in on their side on the first turn. I've heard people say, well, then just don't pull. And it's like, but this is your best chance. You have 4 in 13 chance of actually getting a pro marker, which is, I think, worth the gamble. So I'm going to go ahead and pull. And of course I got a no event, which is the most likely thing. In the West, again, it's like 3 in, what is it, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 bad things and 3 really good things in 2 area C's which aren't bad. So I'm going to go ahead and pull with the West. And they get a no event. Then the Soviets have to look at this like right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right now it's a 4 and 11 next turn. If I pull a no event with the Soviets, if I pull a cup out, it will be a 4 and 10. I really don't want to give the Germans that easy of a time to get political successes. So as the Soviets, I'm actually going to reload the no event, and it will put a second no event in according to the rules. So I just reloaded the cup. Trying to dilute it to keep from the Axis from being able to do anything. And now we're going to go on to the next turn. Where's I lost my mouse. There it is. I keep losing my mouse. Keeps rolling off my screen. Okay, so I'm going to look at that. I have fair weather in the mild zone. In the mild zone in October. So I'm going to go crazy, so to speak. I'm going to go ahead and declare war on Hungary, just because I think I can possibly take it in one turn. And the Hungarians, knowing that, put their best foot forward. They're going to put... Now, the reason why I do this is to keep... I'm trying to keep the Germans from being able to surround me and get a +2. They're already going to be +2 because of their airplane. There's nothing I can do about that, but we can hope. And that's what I'm going to do with this Hungarians. And I'm also going to declare war on Denmark. There's no good place to set up the Danes. Tradition says just sit here. But, I mean, there's really no good place to set up the Danes. It's just, that's the way life is. Okay, and I think I'll stop there. That's enough wars for one turn. The British can give points to everybody. There's a possibility. Let's see, if the Hungarians get DD'd, they would be retreated and they would fall. So that won't help. Same thing with the Danes. So I'm not going to give anybody any points. Yeah, I'm not going to give anybody any points. Strategic move with the Germans. At this point, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can get an armored unit down here. I can actually get both armored units down here. So I think I'm just going to stay where I'm at and see what happens. So we're done with this. The West, I really don't have one. I don't really have one. And I don't really have one with the Soviets either. So going into the Germans, October, fair everywhere. Couldn't ask for better weather. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're going to move this armored unit. Can't quite get here to help attack across Budapest. But I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, I don't want to do it with that one. The first Panzer. So I'm going to undo my move with the first Panzer. I'm going to actually use the second Panzer because he can still get here. He gets into Vienna to keep the Hungarians from grabbing a factory on me. And keeps them on a rail line. And then we're going to go ahead and attack here. We'll use an airplane. I'm going to save the ground support for Budapest because that's where it's more important, right? So that's where I'm going to use it. I got it back in one turn, by the way, from the Polish attacks. So I'm not going to use it for this one. I'm going to use it when he goes after Budapest. And of course he takes it. We'll go ahead and take the hex just for kicks. Now, let's just get this out of the way. This has got to stay in the east anyway, so we're going to take that city, and then we're going to go live in our permanent home. Oh, it's not actually my, oops. I stopped a hex short. It's not my permanent home. That's my permanent home. Hello, come on. Wake up, machine. There we go. He goes there. This infantry goes there. Now I don't have to worry about my 3-unit garrison in the east. They're all in their home spots. Now this Panzer, if you see, the reason why it was important for this one Panzer to do it is this Panzer can actually reach here. And that now gives me, when I attack across and throw in an airplane, I'm a net +4 because of the isolation instead of just +2. And of course the Hungarians have to try and hold on, so they're going to use their ground support. And we confirm. Commit. And I only rolled a 3 + 4 as a 7. He rolled a 4 + 1 as a 5, so hey, he held. I do have a second attack because I didn't have to move adjacent to do the attack. And so I'm going to go ahead and use another airplane and just try and see if I can get him at +4 to 0. I need a DD. And another 1 to a 6. So, the Hungarians have held out. Yay for the Hungarians. 1, 2, 3. So we go. This is pretty standard fare. Everybody knows this. Attack here. Hello, attack here. Throw in an airplane. You're +4 to -2. Confirm. Commit. You must retreat. There's no good retreat here. I mean, there really isn't a good retreat. Wherever you go, they can keep following you because it's fair weather. Attack you again. Confirm attack. Oh, throw in the airplane because why not? And I finally got a DE. So now I can go here. Now, this is a trap I set for the Allies. If they really, really wanna, they can bring the BEF over here. Or not. But I'm going to leave him there. I'm going to put the 4th. Hello, 4th. Is going to go right adjacent to Copenhagen. So now any unit that the Allies bring here is going to be isolated. And right now they don't have a Frenchman on any port to move. They could bring the BEF over, but you can't bring an airplane with the BEF, so he's going to be all on his own. And I will have isolated attacks on him, for a while. And until I do West invaded, even if you have a fleet in Copenhagen, it doesn't hurt me because until West invaded, you can't do anything. And then my German aircraft can literally swarm any fleet that bases in these places to keep him in supply. So it's sort of a trap. I've lured a couple of allies into it. I've actually stepped into it myself once with a Frenchman in an open setup, and it actually worked fairly well because the Germans didn't really take it all that seriously. Now I'm going to oh no, wrong one. Since I don't want to give the French free sorties, so to speak, I go ahead and move this thing into this hex, which means also in the future it will be able to interdict supply on anything that goes through C-Zone 12 because he's on the C-Zone now. So, yeah, it's, like I said, it's a trap. And unfortunately, I'm playing myself and I know about the trap, and I won't go there unless I'm sending a Frenchman who's going to die anyway, which means unless it's open setup, I usually don't bother to go and do this. It depends on the diplomacy situation too. If it would, the thing is because you can't, you're going to have to put 2 units to make Denmark hold. And that's just a little too much investment for me for the West to drop 2 units in there. So I don't do it. Anyway, the Germans have pretty much moved everything they can move, and they're just going to sit here tight and say, we're going to pass. And away we go. And yes, Constantine, I've seen that happen with the Hungarians several times now, where they get like 6-1 or 5-1 splits in their favor, and they like hold out for a turn or two. It's amazing. It is one of the flaws of the game, as far as I'm concerned. It's almost an automatic knee-jerk reaction if you get fair in November or December or October or November of 39. It's a knee-jerk reaction to go ahead and hit Budapest because you'll get a pro marker in the Diplomacy Cup, and then you'll get to be able to place, like if say the Russians removed the one in Romania, or you can place one, say, in Yugoslavia, or do something towards Italy, that kind of thing. And you get an extra one in the cup to try and help you deal with what might have happened in Italy. Same reason why you try not to conquer Denmark immediately, because there's no adverse stuff on the board right now. But like, say the British get a pro marker in Italy, then you conquer Denmark and just get rid of it. So you have sort of a get rid of whatever the West or the Soviets do in your pocket. And then obviously taking Hungary is to get you an extra marker in the cup and see if you can't, bring in Romania early or get Yugoslavia or even Italy. But bringing in Italy this early, like in 1939, can spell the loss of North Africa because the Italians really can't stop all the stuff that's down there. You have to send some Germans. And the Germans aren't in position to be sent right now, so I really wouldn't want to bring in Italy that early. Maybe the end of 39, but not like in October. So the West, let's go ahead and be annoying with the West, with the French. We're going to go ahead and move into Metz with the airplane. We're going to go ahead and fly a sortie against that airplane. And it was a horrible disaster, so we're going to stop. Now, if the Germans get mad, and you can do, I've done this with a couple people. You do that. West invaded is not triggered, but if he turns around and comes back and counter airs me, and I'm inside France, West invaded will be triggered, and all the timers and everything get set, and everything goes off. So you have to be very disciplined with the Germans. You just kind of have to take these hits and say, "Yep, I understand. I got to, I'm going to get whacked a little bit, but that's okay." They're sitting in a position where the only one who can whack them is the Frenchman. And if the French are using up sorties here, they won't have sorties that you have to take care of when it comes time to invade France. So it's actually a pretty fair trade-off. You have enough points to rebuild your air forces without too much trouble. Other than that, I really don't see anything else to do with the Allies. I mean, I could tinker around with placement of the French, but I can always do that later on before knowing whether the Italians are likely to come in or not. So I'm going to wait. And I'm basically done. And this gets pretty fast here. If I wasn't babbling along like I am, it would go much faster. I'm just going to go ahead and do a supply all because I know the convoys are fine. The Soviets. Let's move this guy to there. Just to say I did something, and then they'll pass, skip, and do that. And they're going to do, so it pops up, supply all, and kaboom, we go. Now we're back to the Germans. Again, they have 19, so they have to save 5. They can spend 14, so that's 4 of these. So again, I'm going to let the convoy sit for a turn. I'm going to bring down... And now I have to be a little bit... I have to pay attention because I actually have 3 units to build. 1 garrison and 2 infantry. So if I take this down, I'll only be able to build 2 of them and still be able to go into the Diplomacy Cup, which is fine. I only need to really build 2 of them. I can build the 2, the infantry and the garrison, or the 2 infantry or whatever. So I'm still okay. So I confirm that. Replacements, obviously the French do their thing, the British do their thing, and there's no replacements for the Soviets. This is the Germans doing... One of the quick things to jump around the map is if you click on these, you'll go to their capital, which will help a lot of times. I'm going to go ahead and put... I'll put an extra German infantry down here. put an extra German infantry over here. Then I'm stopping at 5 points so I can get into the Diplomacy Cup. Soviets, because of the Polish ceding, they get to build an army. And they will go ahead and build him, I don't know, build him in Kiev. Move him around wherever I want him to go. We should be back at the Diplomacy Cup. So now it's 4 in, again, 13. So we're going to go ahead and try it again in October. The Germans pulled a no event. Same logic as last time. So the West pulls a marker. And they got a political success. So I have choices here. Most people's knee-jerk reaction is to go immediately for Italy. Okay. One thing to remember is that this was a political success, and now there's only 2 more chances for the Brits. And what you're trying to do is disrupt the German timeline. Putting a pro marker in Italy will make them use the Denmark one to remove it, right? But the Denmark thing doesn't help them if you remove the Romanian one. So you have a choice. I have exactly one person watching. Constantine, if you're watching, what would you suggest that I try and do? Should I remove the Romanian one, or should I try to force them to use up their Denmark, get rid of a pro marker by putting it in Italy? There's pros and cons for both. Okay, maybe you're not watching anymore. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and put the pro marker in Italy because it's a serious threat to the Germans. It'll make them use up his Denmark. And the Soviets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you can take it down to 3 and 10 if they don't get a political success or their pro-axis marker. They could pull political failure. Political failure would be bad because that would bring up Romania. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, they could just throw in the no event, but I think they're going to go ahead and take a chance and go ahead and pull. And they pulled a no event. Okay. Well, the Germans have enough wars on their hands right now, so they're not going to declare war on anybody, and of course the West can't. It's sort of a futile gesture, but I'm going to go ahead and give a point to France, a point to Hungary, and it would be done. Germans can do a strategic move here. They really don't have one. Yeah, I go ahead and... Oh, I don't want to do that because he has to be... Yeah. I have to try and replenish them at the end of the turn here, so I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to do one. The West... And I really don't... So now we should be in at least poor... Oh, where's my... Okay, we're in... He can get in Hungary is retreats. But he can attack me like 3 times to get those retreats. So if he can get a couple of those retreats to work, he'll be fine. And he'll take Budapest. But it's not a sure thing this turn. So... Really don't have a strategic move I can do. That was something I missed last turn. I could have had this garrison unit go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and chase his airplane away. I missed that with the Hungarians. I knew there was a reason why this German infantry couldn't go all the way up there. He usually has to stop like right about here to keep that end run. So I'm going to move him back during my German turn. Yeah, I'm pretty much don't see one for the west. If this infantry unit wasn't sitting there, I could rail adjacent and keep him from being isolated, but can't do anything about that right now. And I definitely don't have one for the Soviets. I don't see any reason to do it. So the Axis are going to go after this. It's going to be all assaults, so we're going to start with this armor. It's going to move one. Hello. Call himself an assault. Now I have to do multiple assaults, and I can't use any airplanes, so I think I'm just going to go +4 and halved here. Or +3 and halved to his +0. Because in severe, we're both halved. So let's see if I get a retreat here. We can't commit. And it was a no effect. So we do it again. Now, the reason why you're not seeing me do like one big assault is because the best I'm going to get, even at like +5. I mean, at +5, you need a 6 to get a 6. And then he needs a 1 or 2. So it's like a 1 in 18 chance. This way, if I get multiple tries at trying to just get him to get a retreat, you know, at +3 to 0, I have a better chance of getting him halved. You know, I might get a retreat, and two retreats is the same as a DD or a DE. See, there I got my first retreat. Now the infantry unit, who can't attack nearly as well, because he doesn't have the armor stuff, he'll be -2 coming across, so he's only +2, because he's 2 for German, +2 for isolation. And then, you know, -2 for the canal and the city in the river. And he's -2 in halved, which means the best he's going to get is a 2. So if I can get, you know, a 5, need at least a 5 total or more to knock him out. And I didn't quite get it. I got my 6, you know, with a 3. 5 - 2 is a 3, halves down to a 2. So the Hungarians hold on for another turn. And with that in mind, then this 10th Army has got to come back to contain the Hungarians. How far does he need to go? Yep, and that's going to be that. Oh, now, as I said, since I put the pro marker in Italy, you really can't wait anymore with the Germans. So, goes here. And then we go to Italy and we remove that because we definitely don't want them going over to the Western Allies. And then I can finish my move in Alborg, which is just fine. And then the 1st Infantry doesn't need to stay up here anymore. It can come running back down towards France. And I think I'm done. So the Hungarians are holding out. forever and a day. Okay, so for the West, just a couple little shenanigans. This guy is going to go ahead and move here. Not going to attack, and I still have one left, so I can flip him over, but now I keep him from being isolated without the Germans coming down and attacking me again. Again, it's a matter of just trying to delay them as long as possible. So, I mean, he can take... I can't pronounce that. SZs always mess me up. Zolnach. Germans can come take that, but it won't conquer me because I have 4 will points. He's got to take the capital or kill the real army twice and take the other cities. So I'm not too worried about Hungary falling from that standpoint. Actually, I'm not going to go to that space. I'm going to go... here instead. Keeps him from being able to get this infantry unit adjacent to here and being able to have an armored infantry against it twice. Now he has an armored infantry and then an armored. It's not much, but it's all I got. Well, the French had a terrible disaster last turn, so I don't think they're going to bother to go after the Germans until they're at 0. So they're going to skip out and 1, 2, 3. From here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Germans are out of range, even if the British came into France. So we'll keep going. Yes, battle for Budapest is gone through its 2nd month now. And again, I know that the supplies are fine here because I know there's no Italian Navy to deal with, so I don't have to worry about tracing my supply lines at this point. Soviets, I guess I just move this guy up to here. As a general rule, I have not been able to hold with the Soviets in this game. I'm usually knocked out sometime in 1942. The couple of times that I have held, it was 3 times I've held with the Soviets when I was playing them were mistakes by the Germans, was what allowed me to like encircle a part of his army, and basically it couldn't go forward. It had to come back to get its supply line open. So it wasted him a turn, and that's the reason why I held. It was like sometime in summer of 42, I was able to do that. I think if the German player is paying relatively close attention and not just running hog wild, that won't happen to your average German army coming into Russia. And if that doesn't happen, I have not been able to get the Soviets to hold. I usually get I get close, but it's usually like by September of 42, and the Germans make one final push, usually using a surprise attack marker that they've rebuilt. Just for that purpose, they're waiting for their one last chance, because you get down to 10, 12 will points with the Russians, you've got to start defending literally everything, and like the old adage says, defending everything, you defend nothing. But when you're, when you're playing the math game, you got to defend all 6 of those cities or whatever, because otherwise, if you give them a few free ones, then they only have to concentrate on taking 1 or 2. So you're in a catch-22 situation there. I don't see anything for the Soviets to do, so I'm done. So go on to the next turn. Man, I'm a little over an hour. So supply all, and I think. Okay, so now I've got 20 points left. So we definitely want to do all 3 airplanes. Then I think I'm going to do these 2. If I remember right, I have something to build here, don't I? I only have a garrison to build, so I don't have anything real to build. So if I built the garrison, if I do this, I have 6, so I can still build the garrison and stay in the diplomacy cup, so that's what I'll do. Now, if you didn't like what you just did, you can always click this undo button to go back a few steps, or you can just say undo all of this and start over. But as soon as you hit confirm, you can't go back. Okay, this Hungarians still have 1 left, so they're going to turn themselves back face up. And of course the British and the French and the French. Okay. And we're done with that. The Germans can build their first garrison. I have no idea where to build it. Let's just build it in Hamburg. Or that. The Hungarians don't have any points left, so they can't actually build that. And we're back to this. Okay, so now the Germans have 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 8, 9, 10, 11. 4 and 11, a little better than 40%, or just a little bit under 40%. So I'm going to take another chance. I'm going to go ahead and pull again. And I pulled another no event. The West is going to take a chance to try and empty the cup down some. They got rid of one of the pro-axis markers. Now, the Russians are, yeah, I'd like to get my area seized, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Germans are now at 33%. All right. Odds are the American is going to go down. So I'm going to go ahead and yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put a no event in. I'm going to try and dilute the cup on the Germans. Trying to mess up the German timeline here. Now, the Germans have their airdrop marker, but that's not going to really help them do anything at this point. So I think that the Germans are not going to have any more wars. What was our weather again this month? We're in poor weather this month, so the UK will give 1 to the Hungarians just in case. And strategic move with the Germans, just to save me some production points. I'm just going to go ahead and move the 12th up to here, because I'll have things to build and people to move into places like Aachen and Dusseldorf. Oh, confirm. Sorry, I was like, why isn't it going? The West, I really don't have one. I don't know what I would do with a strategic move here, because I really don't need one. So, and the same thing applies to the Soviets. I look at the map and it's like, where's an important place to do a strategic move? There isn't one. So And you're pretty much in place until you get some of these other countries and get some more armies. Later on, as the Germans conquer in 1940s, the Germans are conquering France and whatnot, you might decide to readjust your armies, but right now you really don't have a lot to do with the Soviets. And I do not want to pass with the Germans. That's for certain. Okay, so this is poor weather. So we're going to have this infantry take this city. Oh, I can't take this city. East front. Yeah, I'm not allowed to move him. I forgot. I can't move him. So I'm going to actually have this infantry unit. Just go ahead and attack here. Trying to force a retreat is what I'm trying to do. And you'll see, if you do something that's illegal, a little red bar shows up there and tells you what you're doing wrong. I do like that about the game. It doesn't let you forget rules. So right now I'm +1. I'm going to go ahead and throw an airplane. Why does it do that? It gets stuck there sometimes. I'm going to go ahead and throw an airplane on this attack here so that I'm +2 to -2. Again, I'm just trying to get a retreat. Which I got. So he's going to move back there. I am not going to take the hex at this point. Or am I? No, if I take the hex, I will be out of supply. And I'm not sure I'm going to actually take Budapest. So I'm going to stay where I'm at. And then we're going to attack with this armored unit. We do an assault. Again, we're going to do multiple assaults here. Oh, I don't want to move him. I was trying to get him to attack. And it's like, dum-dum. Got to hit on that assault button. Hit the assault marker. Right now I'm +3, and I'm going to throw in an airplane. So I'll be +4 to 0. We'll see how I do on this first attack. I did get a DR. Now that was a mistake on my part. This is a little ticky-tacky thing. But if I'd attacked with this armored first, that I'm going to attack with now, and gotten that result, then the second attack with this guy would end him up on a rail line, which makes it quicker for me to get them back into the west. But, you know, I wasn't thinking. I'm just kind of bouncing right along here. It's not a huge error at this point in the game, but later on, it can make huge difference on being able to defend both against a Western invasion and a Russian incursion from the east. So again, +4, but this time to -2. So it takes like a 6-1 split for him to hold. Right. I had to roll 1. He had to roll 6. So yeah, I'm going to take it right now. I hate to waste the thing, but I really don't want him coming back. So I'm going to go ahead and put the marker in Yugoslavia, because that's the only thing I can do. There's nothing to take out. And it did load up the cup for me. What's this? I explained it a little bit earlier. The reason why I don't like to have the motorized unit here in France, this is Constantine asking this question. Where's my silly mouse? I don't like it sitting in Lille. It's no more powerful than a regular Russian infantry. It's still only a +1. It has 10 movement points. If you have it behind the Marne, or even behind the Somme, it can run to where a breakthrough is. It can run south from where it's at. It can run to the west, like get behind the Somme to slow down the Germans. I don't like them in Paris because Paris has got a big, huge target on its back. It costs 2 points to rebuild an motorized unit. It only costs 1 point to rebuild a regular French unit. Regular French unit is more cost effective for its +1 than the motorized unit. The motorized unit is there to basically be my mobile reserve, something the French did not do in the real war. I'm trying to have a mobile reserve. I put it in the space I put it to make sure that the Germans garrison along the Maginot Line correctly. Because if they don't, if they just had like a guy in Aachen and the hex southeast of it and didn't have anything in Frankfurt or Stuttgart, that French motorized unit would go run and grab a factory. Force the Germans to come fight me, yeah, sure, but, the Germans are now spending production points doing other things than what they probably want to be doing. So, that's my logic behind it. I prefer to have it out of the front line and used more as a mobile reserve, depending on where I end up placing it. Usually, actually, I put it where the French 6th Army is. And the French 6th Army usually ends up adjacent to Paris. I think that's what I did. So, anyway, the Axis have done their duty. They've got 23 points left. I'm going to go ahead and put this guy back up on the Eastern Front so I don't forget. Because I can have this infantry unit go take this city later. And I can start getting the German armored units back towards the west. And then we just need to get off the cities because I'm going to have like garrisons and things to build. So I'm trying to empty off my cities so I can build guys close to the front, but not on the front necessarily. And oh, this is a cute thing. Until you need this garrison for something else, by sitting there, if somehow the British would get like to be able to have their army in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, or Antwerp, they could, with a 2C zone invasion, invade that hex and like take Bremen or Hamburg, which is very embarrassing to the Germans to have happen in 1940 when they're not paying attention. Sometimes I will waste the surprise attack marker just to have a British army sitting behind German lines in Hamburg, behind a river, with no one at hand to actually attack it. And it's like the entire, whole army has to, like, a couple armies have to run back to contain it, and then another turn to kill it. And by the time they're ready to kill it, the British fleet just picks up and runs off with the unit, and you've slowed down the attack in France. So this prevents that. You can't land adjacent to it and move into those cities because I have zones of control. Same thing that the Home Guard is doing over here. This garrison is doing over here in the northern north coast of Germany. Okay, and again, I'm at 20, so I'm going to say I'm done with it. We are in poor weather, so the French are going to go ahead and take their shots at the German Air Force because it's -2 for the French and it's 0 for the Germans. So we're just hoping to get a couple of +1s here. And I got an AS2. So I'm not going to do it anymore. The idea is if I can get the French to get like a couple of if I can get them like 3 +1s, that's 2 turns that the German Air Force has to come back. When I get an AS2 like that, I'm not winning the production point exchange war there. So it's not worth it. So I stop. And then I'm going to, let's see, I think I did it this way in the past. I think I put him there. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He can still reach the... So this guy can now still reach the Alpine border if I need him to. Right, and then I move him here in the hopes that the guy in Sedan will be retreated and will retreat behind the Marne next to him. So again, this is my my take on a defense of France. Somebody used this against me, and it was very effective. But then again, it might have been my die rolls in the game or whatever. But I do kind of like this idea that you're not sitting everything. You're not committed all the way up here. So if you need to run something down here, like the Italians come in and you see a bunch of Germans coming down here, you can send some of these Frenchmen that are not literally on the front line. They can reach to like this hex here, or if you're using this one, it can actually reach down to like this hex down here next to Marseille, east of Marseille, which is the better place to be, not in Marseille. I think we're going to be done. And we skip, and we confirm. And we supply everybody. English invasion. I'm not really sure what you're talking about there, Constantine. You're talking about the defensive. Oh, you're talking about the defense of northern Germany. Yeah, I've seen it done once. The British, they declared war on Belgium. The British went and held Antwerp. The French, they were just trying to. They figured they could always naval evacuate to Southampton or Calais out this sea zone. So why not have the British sitting in Amsterdam? And the Germans just said, well, I'm not going to deal with the British. They went through the Belgians and bounced into France, through Sedan, and were surrounding Lille and stuff. And they were just going to try and get an isolated on the British before they went after them. And so the British they put everything there and said, screw it, I'm not going to be able to invade for, a year or two because I'll never be at 20, but I don't care. And they went and they dropped right where that German garrison sits. And then they moved physically into Hamburg because it was unopposed. And then, all my German army was basically pinned up here. And it was like I had to take 2 German infantry back to contain him so he couldn't just run around and, hit a whole bunch of factories. I was down a factory because of it. And it was like 2 German infantry had to come up here, and then I think I actually had to divert an airplane to actually finally, I hit his fleets or whatever, and then he left. But what he did is he screwed me up for a whole turn. I don't think I conquered France that turn until November of 41 in a poor weather assault. He was still hanging on to like 2 will points or something. So I mean, it's an interesting thing, but it's also, if you use it like that, with the British only having 18, and they're 20 production points is hard to come by for the British until like 43, and that's only if they don't lose the Middle East. So yeah, I mean, that surprise attack marker sometimes is more valuable sitting on your card than it is. The surprise attack marker for me, for the British, sitting on the card means wherever the Germans have a coastline, they have to garrison it, which means that's less units for them to do other stuff with. Even if they're only garrison units, it's less units for them to do other stuff with. Maybe they'll bring up miners and stuff to do it as well, but miners are much easier to get through than real German units because they only have a +1 for ground support. They don't have airplanes and tanks, which German units and Italian units do. So I tend to hang on to the surprise attack marker unless there's something I really have to do. It's just the way it usually works out for me. Anyway, I don't see anything to do in the Soviets. I mean, I just, until I get some of these area seized spaces, I don't really have anything to do with my army because they're going to move into those spaces and be built because of them. But we haven't pulled any of those in the diplomacy step. So the Soviets are just going to say, the heck with this. Oh, I want to show something before I forget. So I'm leaving the Soviets. I left the Soviets to be able to voluntarily eliminate units. Oh, here's the Germans. So the Germans could voluntarily eliminate. You got to be careful about this, okay? If you click on something and confirm, it will likely eliminate. It won't necessarily eliminate your unit. You actually have to hit the eliminate units button, and you have to highlight the unit you want. Like if you want to get rid of this convoy, then you have to hit the eliminate button. Okay. So that's something to keep about. That's something to keep track of. Okay. So if you really want to get rid of units, like if you have a German aircraft that's surrounded and can't get supplied at the end of the turn or something, you want to take it off. Got to remember to highlight it and hit the eliminate button. Okay. Right now, it wouldn't let me eliminate any of these because they're all taking care of home defense. Only the convoys should be eliminated. Okay. Could be eliminated in this case. Anyway, I'm skipping out on that. Same thing with the Soviets. Skip out on that. We go into the replacements phase. 3, 6, and 9. So now all my airplanes are back to full. And I still have 11 points left. Okay. So now I'm to the point where I'm ahead of the production point drain. So at this point is about the time that the French, it's usually not worth it's usually not worth the fight anymore for this airplane because the Germans are now ahead of the whole production points they have to spend versus what they have available, because they have 26 right now or 28 right now, and you can't really do enough damage to this airplane without totally decimating your own to actually make a difference. So probably here at the beginning of 1940, I will just give up that ghost and go ahead and place this French aircraft in a more strategic place where it's harder to get ground struck by Germans. And I don't think anything to do with the Soviets. Germans have points and can build. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and put a garrison unit there. I'm going to put a real German unit in Dusseldorf. Confirm. And we're back to that same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's 4 and 12. 25% chance that the Germans get something good. And they pulled the political failure. Okay, now as the West. You put a pro marker here. You've got a 2. What is it? 2? 2 in 11 chance of getting Italy in on your side. Okay. By the same token, you could remove Romania, or not Romania, Yugoslavia, which makes it harder for him to get an ally. That is a dilemma. The other thing you can do is you can try to be cute and put a pro marker in Belgium and then try and get it to join your side, so that you could preemptively move into Belgium next turn. Well, let's try and see if we can make it a short game. We will go for the Italians. We'll make it a very short game if it is. And in the West, I pulled the pro axis instead of a political success, so it doesn't help me. Hurts him, but doesn't do anything. And the Soviets are going to go ahead and pull just because they can. And they pulled a pro axis, so they pretty much decimated the cup on the Germans. However, the Germans can pull with no fear next turn. Okay, so now we are in, where are we at? Oh, come on, mouse, quit running away from me. We are now going into January 40. So I think I'm at an hour and a half on this stream. A lot of babbling, not a lot of things being really done. I got a second person back. Yeah, I think you're right, Constantine. I think removing Yugoslavia or Romania, either one, or not Romania, moving Yugoslavia means that he doesn't have a chance at that minor. The thing is with the pro marker sitting in Italy, that means whatever the next German action is, whatever he pulls, political success, or if he conquers a country or something, he's got to get rid of that pro marker. I mean, he can't let me have another one in there. So he's the German is kind of stuck on that situation. I mean, if the Allies had gotten Italy, it becomes a very short war and a very short video series, streaming wise. Anyway, I've been going at it for about an hour and a half. I don't know if I should keep going. I see I've got a second viewer, but I didn't see who that is. Oh, Constantine, you can't do that. You said why you decided not to activate Romania with pro-axis marker after conquering Hungary. When you get the pro-axis marker, the rules say that you may place. You may place. You do not get a success. You do not get the equivalent of a political success. All you get is either remove a marker that the other guy has on the board, or you can place a marker in a country that's adjacent to the one you just conquered. You can't activate with a conquest of another minor. You actually have to get a political success or a pro-axis marker out of the cup in order to activate someone. So I missed that question earlier, but that is why. You can't do that. It's actually against the rules. You're not allowed to activate a country when you conquer another one. Okay? I'm going to probably take us up to right before the fall of France. We're going to see how this goes diplomacy-wise. Unfortunately, the Germans really don't have anyone to go declare war on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set myself up for a possibility of Italy coming in the war against me. So I'm going to skip that. The British aren't going to bother. A strategic move. I'm going to go ahead and move this armored unit. Where am I going to move that armored unit? What's the weather? What's the weather? Oh, God, come on. What is the weather? It's poor and severe. Okay, I've got one armored I can just walk over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This infantry can hit that and head back. So I'm going to go ahead and put this armored way up here. Sometimes it takes the game a little bit while to do that. With the West, I really don't see one. Confirm that. I don't see one with the Soviets. I've looked over there enough times. So we're into move and fight phases here. This armored unit, he's going to come back over here, just in case we have Italians come in. Stay there. I'm going to grab this one. He's going to go there first. And then he's going to move back to Vienna so that he can try and clog up the mountains if the Italians come in up against the Germans. Isn't a lot you can do about it. Since I'm being paranoid, the question is am I being paranoid enough? I am going to go ahead and put a German infantry on the Italian border. There. And I think I'm done. I think I'm actually done. Actually, we're going to put this here. Okay. And I think I'm done for now. Tons of points. No reason to use them. Okay, I'm done. Skip that. All right, Custine, have a good day. Says I still have one viewer. I don't know who you are. One viewer that's left. But I'm going to keep going here for a little bit. Supply all. And then we're going to go into the Western actions. It is poor weather. We're going to make one more shot here. See if we can, just for making the French feel better. Okay, and the French go, that's enough of that. So now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So one of the places to go with the French Air Force is right about here. And you go, why there? Because from all the places, the only place they can actually hit the French Air Force is the airplane that's going to be in Aachen, which is his forward airplane. The other two, which will probably be back like in Dusseldorf or outside of this space down here next to Frankfurt, there are more than 7 spaces to that one airplane, so he will have exactly one German aircraft that can go after the French aircraft. And then you'll get a second French aircraft with 4 sorties after the West invaded, and you can put it in some place like Le Havre, which gives him the same fits. He has to have airplanes forward into Belgium and or France in order to be able to hit your airplanes from back there. Some Germans will just let the French fly in defense of their troops, I'm not one of them. I'm a firm believer in suppressing the French Air Force. French troops are already +1s. They don't need to get an extra +2. And I think that's going to be it for the French and the British. So skip out here, confirm. And supply all. We're just going to bounce through the Russians because like I said, I can't see anything to do with the Russians. When you look over here, it's like until they get, some of these things from the Nazi, the area seized, they really don't have anything much to do with their army. I mean, they don't have a lot of armies to move around, and what they've got is pretty much at the front. I mean, you could probably put something back here at Kiev for defense in depth or something if you don't get anything. But if I don't get any more countries from areas seized before the Germans come, this entire army is not going to be here. We're going to be back along the Duna and the Dnieper because that would just be suicide to sit forward there with so few units. So we're just going to pass. Confirm. Supply them all. And replacements for the Germans. They got plenty of points left. Confirm that. The West has plenty of points. You'll notice that the computer defaults to having the French supply the British instead of the British in Brest, which is fine until you get the attack on France. Then you really don't want to use that convoy up. You have to start using the British one. So you might have to do manual things in the future with that. But right now, the automatic feature seems to work just fine. And then I got stuff to build with the Germans. I'll put that up here. I'm going to put a garrison down here. Again, I'm trying to be overly paranoid about dealing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With dealing with a possible Italian incursion in the diplomacy phase. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to pull. We have to pull with the Germans. We have to hope to get a political success and end this Italian threat. I got a no event. And then the British are going to try and get the Italians to come in the war. And they pulled an area C, so finally the Russians are like, well, it's about time. Now, here's a big old debate. There are some who propose that you should not try to take Bessarabia or Karelia at all, ever. I disagree wholeheartedly. Bessarabia is important because if the Germans get Romania in, okay, with 2 factories, that means both regular Romanian armies can run around without the Germans having to help them. If you take Bessarabia, only one of them can. Yeah, you're going to lose 2. You're going to lose 2 4 for you only gain 2 will points, and you'll lose 4 will points for taking it when they finally come and attack you. However, it gives you an extra river line to defend against. They're 1 hex row further away from the Dnieper. And for me, the fact that they would have to give a point to the Romanians to make both Romanian armies move is worth taking Bessarabia. Obviously, the Low Countries, the Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, of course, you're going to take those just because there's no reason not to. This is the real big debate. Now, Karelia is a slightly different thing because it does tie up a Russian army to guard Vyborg, because you'll get 2 when those Finns activate for the 2 roads coming into Russia, but you would have to put a Russian army, probably the one that you get for getting the seated would go into Vyborg to defend it. So that's more of a wash, but again, it means that the Finns are only being able to activate 1 unit a turn. I'm a believer in keeping the German economy as stretched as possible. So And the other advantage right now of taking Bessarabia is that there's already a pro marker in Romania. So it's not going to make him come in the war, and it's not going to give him any advantage. Later on, if we get political success and can take that out, it's going to make it harder for them to get Romania into the war. So, despite what all the quote-unquote experts tell me, I am taking Bessarabia. And then I am going to, on top of it, pull a marker. And I get another ceded area. Now, here's where I won't take Karelia. Now, I've seen people start with Lithuania and work north. I'm of the opinion that you probably should start with the one that has the Duna River in case you don't get any more. So I usually take Latvia first. I don't know, maybe I'm just stupid, but that always seems to be, I'd rather have the Duna River than way down in Lithuania. If I'm going to not get one, and Lithuania is the one I don't want to have. So now we're declaring war with the Germans. There's really no reason to declare war on anybody. What's the weather? Oh, Thomas. New to USC, and you speaking out loud what you're thinking is excellent. Okay. Thomas Johansson, Johnson? Jons Johnson. Yeah, you're welcome, Thomas. This is, I haven't played the short scenario since I learned the game. I think I played one time on the BGA. I played a dual mode that we found out dual mode was broken on one of them. But they're really great for learning the rules. If you play it on the BGA module, you're guaranteed of not being able to break any rules. You can't forget something. Whereas when you're pushing them around on cardboard on paper map or on the Vassal module, you can forget that something's a rule and go, oops, I didn't mean to do that. But also check out my, you go to my YouTube channel where this will be posted, or go into Board Game Geek and you'll find all the videos listed under USC Unconditional Surrender in the Board Game Geek list. I have probably close to 300 videos of various main event playthroughs. The very first one was the Me, Myself, and I campaign, where I was explaining the thoughts like I am here for each side. Why are you doing what you're doing? The other thing was the cool. Yeah, Vassal is a very nice thing because of its replay availability. Here, the replay doesn't work quite right. You can roll through the log and see what someone did, but it can be a very long scroll. And I know every time you update, every time that an update happens to the module, the replay doesn't seem to sync up right, so you can't do a replay on the BGA module. So that's a bit of an issue. That it's just very hard because the log in BGA is huge. Oh, you are okay. Yeah, the it's a very intriguing game. There is, I mean, the idea that the Germans almost automatically knee-jerk reaction is to attack Hungary in order to make the political game go their way. I really think needs to be fixed somehow because it should be. Hungary was so leaning so far into Hitler's camp by this time after the conquest of Poland that there should be something that should be some not benefit for taking it. I proposed a few things to Sal, and they're looking at the diplomacy game and the Russian reinforcements because, like I said, I've had a terrible time having the Russians hold against the West. I don't see an attack here for the Soviets, do I? It's the weather. I keep forgetting what the weather is. The weather is poor. Okay, I'm going to try this because what the heck? He doesn't have a ground support, so this just might work. So we're going to declare war on Norway. What, you say? Yes, I'm declaring war on Norway. Okay, now as a general rule, we're lagging here. I mean, the only thing you can do is set up there. The Germans can't, invade out here because they can only invade one sea zone. So this is pretty much the only thing you ever do. Just hit confirm. And the Germans are done. I don't have anything on the coast, do I? I don't have any Frenchmen on the coast. So I'm not even going to bother, because either Norway holds or it doesn't. Strategic move. I really don't see one. I guess I can get this infantry that's in Vienna. He's going to have to probably come to the Italian border if the Italians come in. So what we're trying to do is we're hoping to get a conquest of Norway, which will remove this pro marker in Italy. So we're going to go ahead and take a chance and get this infantry guy back over here to the west where he belongs. Okay. Now the French don't have anything on a port at this point, but they're going to go ahead and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Okay, they're going to go ahead and put this guy on Marseille. Not so much for this turn as for next. If Norway doesn't fall and I get a chance, I might take this French army here and go ahead and ship it into a port in Norway just to threaten the bejeebers out of the Germans. I might. Depends. Soviets. I have territory now. Whatever will they do? I have territory. Just to say I can do one. Let's just go ahead and put him right there on the border. Hello. There it is. Yeah, I seem to be getting quite a bit of lag. I think there must be a lot of people on BGA here. So we're going to get through the invasion of Norway. Only playing war games solo, huh? Well, Thomas, if you ever want to try a vassal session with Unconditional Surrender, I will gladly sit down with you, or you can sign up at Board Game Arena. It's a free account. You can go premium to not get the commercials type thing, but it's a free account that you can play lots of board games. War games are coming, and it's a lovely way to learn how to play this system. You can play all those scenarios, and you will guaranteed to be not make any rules violations. Okay, so the Russians are done. Let's go into operations phase and see if we can pull this off. So I'm going to try to pull off the German invasion of Norway here in February. In poor weather. I've seen this done, and it seems to work fairly well. It doesn't work. Anyway, we take the convoy. Hello, convoy. No, I don't need an escort yet. And we put him where the armored unit is. And the reason why I want to do this so early is because I want to make sure people understand some of the mechanics here. So I want to place a surprise attack marker, and he kind of highlights every hex you can put it in. He only highlights one C-zone hex. So you click on that C-zone hex. Now it highlights the whole C-zone. As a general rule, always set it off the number so that because the naval unit will move onto the number and will hide the surprise attack marker. So I usually move it over to a side, and then it will ask you, put it in the C-zone or put it in the hex. Yes, you technically could put it in the hex for a 2-hex radius for +2 from there. I don't know why you ever would, but you could. There's got to be a situation where that's a good idea. I don't know where it is, but I want it to go into C-zone 12. So now it's in C-zone 12. Then the next thing I want to do, my airplane is 1, 2, 3 from here, so I want to place my airdrop marker. And then it shows me all the hexes that's within 3 hexes of my airplanes. And since this is where I want to drop it, that's where I will put it. Now I will go into here. I'm going to grab the 3rd Panzer. First thing I'm going to tell it is naval transport. And because there is a surprise attack marker out there, it's asking me if I'm going to do amphibious invasion, which I am. And then I'm going to have the surface action marker be confirmed as the... Oh. Wow, I don't know what that was. Wow, I think I found a bug. Let me do that again. Maybe I'm not understanding. I go here, I confirm escort. Oh, it's telling me where I can invade. That's what it's doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit into Oslo. That was a little scary. I thought I'd broken it. Okay. So he's -4, and I'm a total of +2. So if I roll a 1 and he rolls a 6, it's a 1 in 36 chance that Norway will hold against me. Let's see what happens. And I committed. And I got a DD, so it doesn't matter. But if I'd have rolled a 1, I would have only gotten a 3. And if he'd have rolled a 6 -4, he would have had a 2, and he would have held it. So it's a 1 in 36 chance that you're taking of losing that. Advance after combat is always silly, but yes. That's one of the things about the modules. You actually have to click on things. Now, Norway is conquered. I could place pro markers in Finland or Sweden, but I really don't want Italy coming in on the west side, so I'm going to go take care of that and get rid of that. Okay, and then I'm going to leave the convoy here for supply and stuff. Okay, and that pretty much... Okay, I don't think I'm going to have to deal with Italy coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and put this armored on the western front. Boy, we are lagging. Okay. What do I have coming in to build the bucket? I have another infantry. So I probably want to put him in Dusseldorf. So I'm going to take this infantry. I'm going to put him up there. Oh dear. Wow, we are slow. Actually, I don't want to put him up there. I want to put him here. Okay, and I don't think I have anything else I want to do at this point. I just want to get my airplanes back up to full sorties. I do have to worry about him coming in here, landing, but I can't do anything about it. So I'm going to just pass at this point. And we use that supply all, no USS, no convoys, and then it should give me the armored unit, which, you know something, I'm going to swap him out for an infantry or two. So I think that I will not supply him this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and go limited supply. And you'll see why in a second. The west. I don't really have anything on the coast that I can send there. I could send the BEF. But for me, the BEF's far more important to me guarding Calais than trying to play games with the Germans in Norway. I'll send the Frenchman next turn because he can't cover all the ports, especially since the Germans went to low supply. So he's going to swap the armored out and bring in like this infantry that's sitting on the port here. And then maybe he'll also bring in a garrison next turn. So if I really want to, I can go send the Frenchman up there. We'll see how diplomacy works. Otherwise, as the West, I really don't have anything to do. And I'm not going to try and get cute. Until I get West invaded, I can't do fun things. Because you can't move anything in the med. Supply all. The Soviets aren't gonna. What do they got? They got territory they can move into. They've got territory they can move into. So I'm gonna take this guy and put him on the Duna. Maybe. Oh boy, are we slow? Slowing down here. That must be part of my streaming software too. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna do. And we will supply them all. And what am I going up on? About 2 hours. Okay, German replacements. This is why I did that, since now my convoy's at 0. Northern infantry's at full, and then I get... And then this one's almost full, so I'll have my 3rd aircraft ready to go into the west. The west, of course, has their chair forces back up, and the 2 convoys, because I'm going to probably go try and do a Norwegian excursion. Mobilization. Now, I don't have the 20 points to rebuild the surprise attack marker, so I'll just build the infantry. Said I was going to build him in Dusseldorf. And even though it says buy surprise attack marker, if you click on it, it tells you don't have enough points. So it's kind of silly. The Russians getting built. Armies. Oh, what was that? Went too far. So he goes over to Riga. This one. We'll build it. Sonate. Oh. Sonate. So now I got some Russian armies to tinker around with and think about. Confirm that. Okay. Well, the Germans are 3 out of 7. It doesn't get much better than this, so I think I'm going to go see if I can't get something. And I got a political success. So now you got issues. There is one political success and a pro marker sitting in the cup. You're not likely to have any more things to attack. And with only one political success and a pro marker left in the cup, the choices are lose one of these guys and put a pro marker in Italy, or activate one of these and possibly have a Western pro marker in Italy for the future, which is not good. So, well, my gut feeling here, because diplomacy doesn't seem to be going all that well for me, is I'm going to need to have a proper jump-off point against the Russians, since they've already taken Bessarabia. Dang. That's a real tough one. Alexandria Whitehead. I don't know who that is. varc.t. I have a feeling that that's a spam hit of some sort, because that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, well, I think I'm going to take a chance. See, I can live without Italy. I can't really live without Romania. I really need Romania. I'm going to go and activate Romania right away. Romania gives me options, because I can get Germans into the Romania. It gives me options to, like, declare war on Bulgaria if I want. Which is what I'm going to set up to do. Because I might need it to get rid of a pro marker in Italy or something like that. So the West is going to pull. Yeah, they're just trying to get rid of the political success and the pro axis marker. They pulled a no event. Now the Russians could try to. I mean, it's a 2 and 5, but I think the Russians want to put an area seized and a no event back in, because they really want to get those other two eastern Baltic states. So we confirm there, and we are now in what turn? Where's my... I lost my mouse again. It's falling off. We're in March 1940. It's poor, severe, poor. I think I've been going a little bit over 2 hours. What do you think? Do you guys want to see me continue right up to the fall of France? Or the invasion of France? Let me know, whoever's on line here. I think Thomas is. I don't know who else might be. I'm still learning how to set up my my streaming software and stuff, so I'm still kind of working at that. No new wars, I don't think, with the Germans. This is going to be a rather fast March turn, I think. Not gonna... With it being severe, I'm not going to try and declare war on Bulgaria. I need to have a little better weather than that. Plus, I need to have a German over there. So I'm not going to give the Romanians anything either. Plus, the West now has both their ground support, so Bulgaria is going to be tougher than you might think. I'm going to get in the habit right now of giving France a production point with the British, so that I'm used to not having 18, but only having 17. Strategic move for the Germans. Okay, so now I have... stop. Machine. So now I have a bit of a quandary, but I think that I should probably... Okay, I'm going to take a chance and send... I really can't afford to send an infantry. Where's my... But I need to send an infantry. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 infantry and 2 armored, or do I need a 7th? I think it can wait. What do I have in the build queue? That's what I need to check. Let's check the build queue. I have a garrison to build, and so I don't think I get anything else for the 1940. I don't get anything till the end of the year. My airdrop is coming back. I didn't lose it. My surface action will be back next turn. I'll get my airdrop when he gets his airplane. He's going to get a surprise attack marker in July. Hopefully I'll be well into France by then. But I don't get any more armies till the end of the year. So what I got is what I got to work with. Yeah, I think that's the wrong place to put a garrison unit. Decisions. I don't think I'm going to want to spend anything in Romania. I don't see me using a German army there this until possibly summer once I see what things are going on. So I'm not going to do anything there. The West. No. Soviets. I really don't see one. I'm pretty much everywhere I want to be, so no. German actions. This is standard ferry. Take the armored unit. Naval transport. We will drop him into Bremen. Oh, come on. Man, is it slow. Then I go put myself into Kiel. And I'm going to grab the Nor infantry. How appropriate. Norwegian army. I'll go back into Oslo. Oh, I have a German infantry here. I didn't realize I had a German infantry sitting in Alborg. I could have sent him off to Bulgaria. And I'll stop there so I can supply him. I want to keep him in supply because if the French show up, I want to be able to go and contain them. I just totally forgot that I had this infantry unit sitting there for no good reason. Actually, I'm going to leave that infantry unit sit there because he might decide to come invade. 90. So we're going to send this garrison unit up here. Yeah, we're definitely lagging out here on this game. I think I'm going to have to stop after this turn. Maybe I can get through April, see what the weather is. But yeah, I really don't see any other moves. So we're going to just go ahead and pass. And we're just going to go ahead and run that guy up so I have Norguy in supply. And in the west. Okay. Now we can take this Frenchman that I put in Marseille and we can drop him up here somewhere. The logical place to go is Stavanger because then I can mess with his supply of his guy. Right? So let's go. Let's make this interesting. This guy is his naval transport. And this thing's gonna confirm its escort. The only reason why I do that, even though I'm not really needing to be escorted because he doesn't have anything to intercept me with, is because it just saves me a move. I'm just going to go ahead and send everybody into Stavanger. If I'd have been thinking, I would have sent the motorized unit up here because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Even if he runs out of Oslo, I can't actually move into Oslo on my turn. And we'll confirm that naval path will end our turn there. And I think that's going to be... Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we'll save that for the future. Yeah, we're going to save that for the future. Trixies are coming. We're going to pass right now. Do I have anything to do with? I don't have any Trixies with the Soviets, do I? Not really. I like sitting on the Duna right now, at least until I get Lithuania. And then, you know, I'm kind of sitting where I need to be sitting. So I'm just going to pass. Hello? Oh, thank you, Kaiser. Tog. Constantine, glad to have you back. Yeah. I just built, Constantine, I just built that army in Dusseldorf this past turn, so there's been some shuffling of armies going along. Because I specifically knew that was coming, so I went ahead and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to bring down my convoy. And I'm not going to do the airplane, and y'all should know what I'm going to do. So the French have nothing else better to do with their points. The British have the points to do this with, so they go ahead and do it. Oh, wow. It's definitely lagging on the map here. Mobilization. Rather than building a garrison unit, I am going to buy my surprise attack marker, and I'm going to skip the diplomacy phase this turn. I know it doesn't sound right, but by building it here in March, that's April, May, June. In July, I will have it back in case I need it to bust through France. And that's it. I'm done. So the West can pull, so they'll go ahead and try. And they pulled an area seized. So now, again, I had this discussion earlier on why I take Bessarabia, because I think I need the forward defense position and limit the Romanian economy to only being 1 point. I made a similar argument with the Karelia for Finland. However, you also cost you a guy to guard Viborg. So I'm less concerned about getting Karelia than I am with about getting these things. I'm going to go ahead and take Estonia, because I took Latvia so that I have the Duna. Now I take Estonia so I have some place to defend, fall back my defenders. And in the Soviets, again, I need to have an area seized in there to try and get Lithuania. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back in. And we're done. And now we're into April. Let's see what we got for weather. It's poor weather in the fair zone, so I am not going to declare war on Belgium and the Netherlands. I might do it even in May, even if it's poor weather, but I don't see any reason to give the Soviets an extra turn to possibly come in on. So we're just going to not declare war on anything. Get in the habit of giving Romania a point, since I'm not really declaring war on anybody. UK is doing the same thing with France. I can do a strategic move. I think it's kind of important to get this infantry to there. That limits what he can do to me. Hello. Oh my goodness. Strategic move for the West. I really don't see one. Yes, I saw that too, Constantine. I really like the paper version. I really wish we could get the. There's a P500 for the mounted maps that I really wish we could get 500 people to request them so that they would print them, because I really would like to have a mounted map. What I've done is I've gone and taken mine to the my local business store, business supply store, who has a laminating machine. I had the maps laminated so that I can actually put them on. I can mount them on metal-backed boards that have a metal coating on them that allows magnets to stick to them. And then I can mount them there, and I can actually have it sitting up like on a wall. I haven't done it yet, but that's my goal, is to actually mount the map on the wall and have the counters in my. I have a bunch of counter magnets that I had. I used to play World in Flames this way. World in Flames for me was just, I couldn't find competent players and it took too long. So I don't play that one paper version anymore. But yeah, it's an interesting premise. There's a few things I think that need to be tweaked, but Sal's aware of them. The Salvatore Vasta is the designer, and Mark Dye is the developer. They both are aware of it, and they are playtesting the bejeebers out of possible fixes and things. I am not a part of that playtest team, but I do throw them ideas from time to time. I really don't see one as the West, so the heck with that. And then we're going to go to the Soviets. I don't think there's any reason to really strategically move into Estonia. I'm not like I'm short points. I've got like 26. So the Germans are not going to really do a whole lot. Shenanigans here. The convoy has to come to Kiel. I don't want an escort. Okay. That's not what I want to do. Or do I? We're in poor weather, so I'm minus 2, 3, 4. I'm minus 3, and he's a minus 1. He's more likely to try and get me in supply problems. Well, maybe he will come after me, I don't know. So I will go ahead and I'm actually going to go ahead and try this and see if I can get away. So I'm not going to escort coming out. I can get hit here. Come on. And go into there. French fleet doesn't have anything else better to do with itself, so it's going to go ahead and try and do an intercept. So we can see one in this first split. Now I could throw submarines against him. Means I probably won't have him earlier, but it would make him a minus 3, but I'm not going to do it here. What was the result? Okay, it was a DR2. So he hit me for 2. Unfortunately, that means that I cannot land in a port with a ground unit. Okay, I'm going to land in Alberg. I'm going to have to take that ground unit into. So now I'm going to take, and I'm going to escort with the airplane. Oh, I meant to hit the infantry unit. I hit the transport instead. There. Naval transport. Escort with the airplane. Go here and here. And again, this is going to be more for illustrative purposes. Normally I wouldn't do this with the French fleet, but I'm going to bring it in just so you can see what it looks like. So the French are minus 2 for the weather, plus 1 because they're French, and minus 1 for sorties. Okay, so they're a net of minus 2. The Germans are plus 2 because they're German air, plus 1 versus naval, and then minus 2 for poor weather. So the Germans are actually at a plus 1. And then we commit that, combat, and it's a 1. And when you see a plus 1, they each took 1 sortie, but that means that the naval thing worked. Okay. Now the so now I'm at 4 sorties with this convoy. When I go to do supply, I could be in a lot of trouble here because he's at minus 2 for sorties, minus 2 for the weather, plus 1 for the French, right? So he's at minus 3. So if he rolls a 6, he would stop me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually fly an airstrike against his fleet. That's why I said normally with the French I wouldn't have done that last thing because it was escorted. And now I'm a plus 0 because of German air and plus 1 versus naval, and then minus 2 for sorties and this. So I'm 0 to his minus 3. And what I'm trying to do is if I can get I'm guaranteed of getting at least 1 sortie on him. And if I get him to 1 sortie, he'll be at minus 4, and minus 4 can't stop my convoy. That's the most important thing. If you're net minus is -4, you cannot stop the convoy and supply. And all I got was a 1-1. But that's all I need. Because he is -2 for weather, -3 for sorties. That's a total of -5. +1 because he's French. Okay? So that makes him a -4. And the best you can roll on a d6 at -4 is a 2. And if you look at the combat chart, go take a peek at it. The combat chart on 1 or 2 for the attacker is always a diamond. So I'm going to be able to supply both of these guys this turn without having to use my my intercept thingy, my surface action marker. And that means that if he decides that he wants to move to a new port, like say he wants to try to move to Trondheim or something, I can actually try to intercept him at that point, come in May. So, or here in April if he decides to move the British, but I don't think he will. So I think at this point I am pretty much done. Right, I got 26. I got airplane and a garrison to build. 2 airplanes to do. That's 6, 7. Huh. I have lots of points and nothing to spend them on. Such a problem for the Germans, right? I guess we'll move this guy that I have in Munich. We'll go ahead and slide him up to Frankfurt. Oh, I know what I was going to do. Get him up to Frankfurt. Oh my goodness, this is slow. Good Lord. I think it's lagging out. I think my log's getting too big. And or my streaming software is having problems. Not sure which it is, but we're starting to really slow down here, so I'm going to probably end it here in April. So I'm more or less lined up for the invasion of the West. I'm short an infantry to the north, but I think I can get a garrison built in Bremen that'll take care of that. And then I'll bring back the other infantries once we take care of those Frenchmen up there. I think that's it for the Germans. I'm done. I'm going to pass. So I'm going to do this. And then this guy's the most important one to get supplied. We go here. Maybe. We use the convoy. Now I know what the math is, so I'm not going to bother to escort. I go here and then down to Hamburg. Confirm the naval path. Now the French are going to get a dialogue here that says, do they want to intercept? Now, if you intercept with this, like I said, you'll be -3 for the sorties, -2 for the weather in poor weather. So that's -5. You're only +1, so it's a -4. So a net -4 to a net -4 on your die roll means best you're going to get is a 2, which means you're going to do 1 sortie to me, which I'm going to take anyway. So I'm going to say no more interceptions this phase because it's pointless for me to run myself up sorties when I can, I don't need to do that. So, and then hit stop interception. And it lets me confirm that naval path. And then on the German side, it's going to pop up. Come on, come here. Hello. Wake up. Wake up. And it's going to pop up. Now you can see it has the automatic thing in here because he's not going to intercept me anymore. So I can just say supply all. And he will finish my supply run. We're in the Western actions phase. There's really not a lot to do. I mean, you could run the French Air Force up there and try and do what it did before, but I think it's better off sitting where it's at. The French Navy, we're in poor weather. So I could do this. I could try to do some shenanigans. But it could mean that the French fleet would be completely decimated and unable to do anything if Italy comes in. So that's the real question, is whether Italy's going to come in. Because what I could do, this is just to show you what I'm thinking about. Maybe. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he can get his airplane in there. See, I could fly the the French aircraft could go to here. My goodness, Tonto. My goodness. This is really slowing. And then if you click on it again and scroll up here, see, you can fly all the way to Stavanger. And from there, I could hit his airplane. His convoy's already at 6. I could hit his airplane to try and mess him up there. He'd be at 0 and I'd be at -4. Or I could sit there so that he's, you know, defended well in Stavanger. At this point, I'm almost thinking that it's not worth the trouble. He has 2 full infantry units here. And that French infantry unit could be... Oh, I didn't want to do that. Thought I hit the undo button. So I'm going to put the French aircraft back where it came from. And I think I'm just going to come back to France. I made a threat. It's not really worth dealing with. And I think I'm just going to come back to France. I think I'm done with this excursion. It was a nice thought, but I just don't think it's worth it for the French. Okay, so we're going to do naval transport. And we are going to escort. And now notice, if I go in the North Sea, I can get hit. But if I go here, right, and then I go here, then I go here, and then I come out here. Should I put them on the north coast? Or over here? I think we'll just put them on the north coast. So then I go here and land at Le Havre. And he can't intercept me, so I don't lose any extra sorties. So there's some trickery with naval moves that you can check out. And now I only have 3 movement points left, so I can't really get back into the Mediterranean. So I'm going to have to do that in a later turn. So I think I'm just going to stay where I'm at for right now. And then we're going to pass. We're coming up on May. He gets fair weather. I'm going to need that French infantry unit on this side of the ocean, not up in Norway. He's already committed 2 infantry there, so one of those infantry is probably 1 more than he needs. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. Soviets don't have anything to do. So just skip them out. Let's get ourselves, yes, everything's supplied, we know. And now we're Germans. Well, we got to supply those guys, so we got to get the convoy. I want to get my airplanes up to full in case this is a fair weather turn. I need to come storming into France. The French get their fleet down some. Convoys for everybody gets reset again because it could become... We could be in a real war here very shortly. Move recorded, waiting for update. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people getting on BGA right now. The Germans are going to go ahead and build this. Garrison, I think I'm going to go ahead and build it in Hamburg, because I might do a swappy swap in the near future. Oh, no, nope. Not in Hamburg. I'm going to put them in Bremen. The reason being is that's a couple hexes closer in case I need him to run around and plug a hole as the Germans advance. Again, hoping for fair weather in May. So done with that. I don't think, yeah, Soviets have a guy to build, but they're not going to build him up there. They're going to build him in Minsk. Get closer to the front line. If I get Lithuania, I'll probably build that guy in Kiev. And now we're at the pull. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pulls. Minneapolis Billiard Club, welcome. As far as the two-tiered table goes, the best way to do it is get one of these tables that have an inset. You can basically build it with 2x4s and plywood. Have a 2x4 bottom and have a 2x4 or plywood bottom with framed in 2x4s, and then a plywood top that you can place on top of the space that your game is in, and then the cats can jump on top of the table all they want. You don't care. So that's a way to do it, guys. P500, the Western campaigns, since it could not take a while until I would get the full game. Yep. And you've always got the Vassal module, and you'll now also have the BGA module. There are 300 some odd people signed up for that have played at least once the BGA module of Unconditional Surrender. So that should be something. Hopefully we can get some of those people to buy the Unconditional Surrender. Just looking through my notes here. Minneapolis Billiard Club, thank you for showing up. Anyway, yeah, the Germans are going to go ahead and pull. There's no... Worst thing that happened is I give them an area seized, right? No event is pulled. So now the West is going to pull. Again, worst thing that can happen is an area seized. So another no event. Okay, so now the Soviets have to make a decision. They could try to pull, which would put it down to like 2 and 5 if I don't get a political success or a pro-axis. If I get the area seized or one of the no events, it'd be a 2 and 5 next turn. I want to maximize my chances for getting Lithuania before the Germans get around over here. So I'm going to actually put in an area seized and a no event. And then we're done with that turn. Ta-da! So now we are getting ready. Okay, I am going to stop here, guys. We're going to have fair weather in May. Okay? So fair weather in May is like traditional blitz into France. My German airplanes are slightly out of position. They're one sortie away from where I would like to have them to start the foray into France. But we're going to go and do that in the next session if I get enough people that say they really want to see it. Probably in a week or two. I'm trying to set up a schedule for my streaming. I live in a house with 4 other people, my wife, 2 sons, daughter, all adult children living at home, 2 dogs, 2 cats. Needless to say, trying to get me some time to stream. I mean, that's why I'm doing this on Saturday mornings, because everybody's sleeping in at the moment. But I'm running out of that time. And this is going to be a very long next turn. So we're going to stop it here. Since I'm in training mode, this is one of the things you can do when you set this up. When you set up time training mode, you can do a no time limit, which means it won't come back at me and saying, "Oh, you didn't finish your game," and give you bad things on your reputation or whatever. And since I'm playing by myself, I can always come back to this whenever I want. The other thing I can also do is I can save this and then reload it at a later time to continue on. So one of the nice things about playing it solo is you can do it with a no time limit. If you're playing with someone who's friends, somebody that is going to complete the game with you, is not going to just decide they don't want to play no more and not tell you, then you can use training mode for those kinds of games as well. The one thing I do like about the BGA modules is that they're usually they're timed games. Even if they're turn-based, you get like 2 days to make a turn. Somebody decides to not show up for a week or so, you just say, okay, skip your turn. They end up losing the game. And it hurts their reputation because they're not playing the game. And the whole point of the board game arena is for you to play the games. So that's the idea. Yeah, I have 4 children, Constantine. Non-World War II game to solo. I have to think about that. I mean, I'm very much into strategy games, so I'm into like the Civil War, the old VG Victory Games version of Civil War, which I think somebody said that somebody's reprinting that. I can't remember who it was now. It's not GMT that's reprinting it, but somebody else is reprinting that game. If you're looking for smaller games, I would. I have to think about that. Comanchera. I don't think I've seen that. If you're interested in any of the coin games from GMT, they are also very nice games. There's some good Vassal modules out there for them. So you might look into those. The games come with bots. They basically have a whole decision tree on how the particular faction will play, so you can play it solo against a semi-intelligent opponent and not actually trying to think outside your own mind on it. It'll be like, oh, this faction does this, and this in order, and then you can look at it and say, but that would be really stupid, so I'm not going to let them do that, which would like lose them the game or something, that kind of thing. But yeah, I have 4 children, all adult, but 3 are still living at home. So yeah, I have a very busy household. Anyway, we will continue this probably in 2 weeks, I'm thinking. I'm trying to see how well this stream is going to work out, and I may have to do some tinkering. I will put up a notification for the next one. I also will say that the next stream I'm going to do, I'm actually going to try to do an oldie but goodie role-playing game, computer role-playing game called Bard's Tale. I'm going to do the setup and the initial grind. The next streaming that I do, which will probably be either sometime during this week or next Saturday. Or I might do this again next Saturday. I haven't quite figured out scheduling. Like I said, very busy household right now. Anyway, thanks you guys for all coming, and I will see you next time. Leave comments in the comment section. I will also put in the boardgamearena.com link down in the comment section of this. And just let me know how you guys liked it. All right. For that, I got to get my mouse over here. And that should be it. All right, guys. This is Gen 608. As always, stay safe. In these pandemic times, that's a very important thing. My normal sign off is until we meet again, stay safe and bye bye.